always told you that I will be as honest and transparent as possible, and the best thing about Monday Night Raw last night is it was good again. Thought Raw had lost its way over the last, 6 to 8 weeks. It kind of coming out the back of SummerSlam, it felt like WWE didn't have a direction. The crazy part is, I'm not actually massively enthused about what our next big main event is, but everybody went out there and delivered. We had some great angles, some great heel turns, and some great character work. So yeah, all things considered, it was the best Raw in ages. Let's talk about it. Please subscribe. I need numbers. Now, we're going to start with Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, because I want to save the Asuka thing for later. I don't like it, right? I don't like the Crown Jewel Championship because it's Survivor Series, right? Oh, the Raw champion's going to face the SmackDown champion. If you're going to do that, I think you need weeks to build. I think you need some serious gravitas, you need some serious emotion. But WWE are super lucky, because right now, the WWE champion is Cody Rhodes, and the World Heavyweight champion is Seth Rollins. They already have that built in, and they were both sent out here to do the opening Raw promo, and they absolutely killed it. Cody even said, right, I'm not going to take shots at you like a traditional promo. Instead, let's talk about how you see yourself, Seth Rollins. And he's mad at Cody Rhodes because he keeps going around saying, I'm the future of the industry and the present. I'm quarterback one, which says that Seth must be below him. And Seth's like, nah, brah, I'm above you. And Cody's like, you're hanging out with these goobers, you're hanging out with Division, like you should be more than you are. And also, let's go back through our feud ever since I did return to WWE. You helped me, you were my shield at WrestleMania 40. That Hell in a Cell match will go down in history, but you never won, bro. And now you're probably going to have Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker get involved, and everything's going to be bad. Now, my worry is that later on, Paul Heyman did a big old promo about Seth Rollins using Brock Lesnar type language after Byron Saxton had said to him, why did you introduce Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza? I think that's probably going to be the finish if we were going to make an early prediction. I won't like that because the story, if we're looking at it from a story point of view, it's way more interesting either way because they are the world champions on the men's side. So if Cody loses, oh my gosh, doesn't lose his title, what does that mean? And if Seth loses, it's the same old deal. If we don't have interference, I think Brock Lesnar will get involved. I think Seth Rollins should win, and I think Cody Rhodes should lose. I think that would be incredible, right? Because Seth Rollins can then say, thank goodness I did start my brand new group. It's working for me. And because I think the Randy Orton heel turn should be round the corner, Cody Rhodes getting defeated, I just think is excellent. There were a few strange things here, like where was CM Punk? Where was AJ Lee? Why didn't Drew McIntyre storm out? This is the problem when you do move superstars onto Raw. I mean, look what happened to Brock Lesnar recently. He was so convinced that John Cena was on SmackDown, he kept turning up to Friday nights, and everybody else knew he was on Monday. But there are small things that we're getting into because mostly it was just so well delivered, so well executed. I had a great time with it. And look, I'm someone that doesn't like the concept, and now I'm pumped to see the match. They took their baseball bat and they absolutely hit a home run. I just really hope it doesn't end, like I say, with Brock Lesnar running down and destroying, well, Cody Rhodes, I would guess. Although, I get it, man. I can see it because if Cody Rhodes is going to bludgeon John Cena, which he did do, which I also wasn't a fan of, you can check my WrestlePalooza review out right now. And Brock Lesnar isn't going to go back to John Cena, which is the rumor right now. I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt, as I do with all murmurings. But it's kind of weird to destroy John Cena, the greatest of all time in WWE's own words, and then not get a WWE title shot. So for a nice surprise, well, is Brock going to go all the way to Australia? You can probably throw in there as a caveat. But yeah, if he does go out there, he destroys Cody Rhodes, allows Seth Rollins to win, the time being that Paul Heyman is pulling all the strings here. You can then finish the year with Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. I know we've done it before, but I would imagine that WWE sees that as a major match. I'm going to say it. I can see Brock Lesnar beating Cody and becoming the champion. Quite clearly, WWE is never going to change the way they book Brock, which is an issue all of itself as far as I'm concerned. I think everybody needs to go through the switcheroo machine at least once, and Brock hasn't done that since he returned in 2012, which is 13 years. If you don't want to do the maths, I guess you can argue that he doesn't turn up enough or that he's so legitimate, why would you muck around with it? But I remember Boombox Brock. Remember that when he won Money in the Bank? The reason I think that stood out so much is because it was massively different, and also putting him into these main event positions is going to be difficult, right? Go back and see the sign that made it into WrestlePalooza that I'm sure upset WWE. That should be in the forefront of your brain. And again, we always talk about it on here. I try and skirt past it, not in a bad way, but there's only so many times we can talk about it before it does sort of shouting into La La Land. So all of that would be a bit crazy. But again, this is going down in like 2-3 weeks' time. And we have most of October, all of November, all of December. If you're not going to have Cody in War Games, he has done it the last couple of years, it would be a way to keep him out of that. And if Brock Lesnar's not going to be John Cena's final opponent, then he can win the WWE title. I mean, he can't. I don't want John Cena winning that belt back and then retiring it. Oh, that would be awful. I don't know. But Either way, let's focus on what did happen on Raw. Great job by Seth Rollins, great job by Cody Rhodes, and maybe even better job by Becky Lynch. Not better, that's not fair. But later on, Seth Rollins was there looking at the watch that Cody had gifted him for WrestleMania 40, trying to contemplate what it meant. And Becky Lynch in the background was doing her big Shakespeare monologue, as if to say, I'm in control here, I'm the one poisoning your mind. It's really good. Those two together are great, which is kind of interesting. They were the baby faces when they teamed together in 2017 against Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. Turned out the reason that didn't work so well is because they just needed to be heels. Do not understand. I think it's just you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain stuff. So much bizarre rhetoric about Becky Lynch on the internet. I think it's one of the greatest runs she's had, as a heel especially. I think she's brilliant. I think she went out of her way to make sure AJ Lee looked like a superstar. And it's enhancing Seth Rollins' character as well. So it's true, she is one of the best of all time. It's not just her saying it, everybody is saying it. Tremendous stuff. Really, really good. And when AJ Lee does come back, she should beat Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental title. And that's good too. Okay, Asuka, the greatest character on television right now. You may have seen those producing promos that I do. I can't do shorts on this channel for reasons I won't bore you. There's an issue, and YouTube knows about it as well. I'll make sure I link them down there today. I'll try and put a card on the screen if I remember. I have a shorts channel where I produce promos, right? It's a stupid thing. I act like I'm the producer in a promo, and you get the clips from Raw. I think it's quite funny. You can think it's stupid, totally fine. A lot of these have been on Asuka recently, and some people think that's me being disparaging. No. The more over the top and the more silly and the more people in wrestling lead into this, the more this bored asshole is going to enjoy it. And Asuka is just embracing this role. There were so many skits where Asuka would call in Kairi Sane, poor Kairi Sane, who's under the thumb. Although she did give us reasons this week, it's because she wouldn't be here without Asuka, and Io Sky wouldn't be here without Asuka. And Kairi Sane understands that. But she was just telling Io Sky, like, listen to you, you're a loser. You lost at the pay-per-view. She told Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vicaire they suck too. And eventually Rhea Ripley, mostly because the pay-per-view was done, demanded they did have a match. And that was the main event. Okay, we'll get to that in just 1 second. But Asuka is so good in these. Don't get me wrong. There was a dumb segment when Rhea Ripley actually went up to Io Sky and said, are we allowed to hang out with each other like they were kindergartners? But that also doesn't matter because I understand what we're doing here. Io Sky in this moment, just to give it one last tease, was like, listen, Asuka did bring me here. I can trust her. Can I trust you? And then about 10 minutes later, Asuka elbowed her right in the face. Now, we need to do an elongated program between Asuka and Rhea Ripley. The match ruled. I love the fact that commentators told us that Rhea Ripley had never beaten Io Sky. I think that was the case. I'm very tired, but I'm pretty sure they lent in that direction. Asuka was already going heel in the match. I mean, she did it about 3 weeks ago, let's face it, but this is when we were underlying it. Just so damn good. The match absolutely ruled. Didn't even mind the distraction kind of stuff. With Asuka tells Kairi saying, get involved, Kairi. And she loaded her fist like Henry Cavill in that Mission Impossible movie. She walked up like ready to go. It was perfect. I couldn't have enjoyed this anymore. Of course, Rhea stops her. Asuka, I think, went for a hip attack. Hits Kairi. Oh no. So Rhea hits the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. Surprise roll up 1, 2, 3. I could be wrong, but I don't feel like WWE's done that for a long time either. So that also worked. Tremendous stuff. Then, of course, Asuka missed Rhea Ripley. Tells Kairi Sane to beat her up. Io Sky comes up. She smacks her in the face too. They're both dead. And the Kabuki Warriors stand tall as poor Kairi Sane has a meltdown because she's hypnotized and has to do whatever Asuka says. Like, Asuka in this role, and it doesn't even matter that she lost. She lost him, but it doesn't matter because the execution, and it's Rhea flipping Ripley, for goodness sake. So I presume we'll do the tag team match first. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley can now officially become friends because Asuka is out the way. And obviously Stephanie Vicaire, she had a promo, wonderful by the way, because she just talks from the heart, even though her English isn't that great. She's going to be facing Jade Nia or Tiffany Stratton, so I'm sure this will all double back round to this angle. But for the next few weeks, this is a self-contained thing. There are no championships. It's all about love, basically, and who can be friends. But it is everybody else. But Asuka is brilliant. One of the best wrestlers of all time, or at least the modern day. I don't want to be too sort of hyperbole here. But has great matches. Even when she shouts, Kairi, it should be dumb. And it is dumb, but she makes it work. You need to go and watch this. It's some of the best stuff Raw has done in ages. And, of course, it benefited from the fact that it was in the main event. Like, we did do all the Bronson Breaker and Bron Reed stuff that we'll talk about in a minute as I switch their names. But this stood on its own thing. You had a big heel turn that you could see coming at the end. Rhea Ripley won a match. She hasn't been in a match since, like, 12:42. Kairi Sane's intentions were made clear. Io Sky is now clearly on the babyface end of things. I don't know why Nikki Bella walked away. Asuka found Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vicaire and said, Io Sky should be champion. And Steph was like, I'll fight you. And then her and Nikki Bella just walked off. A couple of cowards. That was very strange. But it was Asuka's night, right? Clearly we were building for this. And thank goodness Rhea Ripley had a match. Why the flub did we wait so long? I obviously want the tag team match because that will be brilliant as well. But at the Crown Jewel show, I suppose, which is in Australia, well, you could do the tag team match there. I would do Asuka versus Rhea again and just, I know that we've just seen it here, but I don't care. It's so good. Give it 3 weeks of just build, promotion, promo. It will be fantastic. But now I do say that I think it will be the tag. I think it just makes more sense. But hopefully we do that on Raw. This was tremendous stuff, and it did feel fresh being in that last spot, because usually it's some sort of DQ, and then here comes Paul Heyman, the Vision. We didn't do any of that, and we saved it for the match before. It wasn't at the end. And that is the other concurrent story that's going on Raw right now. It's actually quite similar, but it doesn't matter. I don't mind things sort of coming across the same way as long as it's working. And Jey Uso just hating LA Knight to such a degree that he is essentially going heel in front of our eyes. Maybe we don't know. Surprised he was wrestling after that horrific chair shot that he took on WrestlePalooza. I hope he's okay and we're not being like, man, wrestling, we're so tough. If that man needs to rest. But obviously he told Jimmy Uso that, we're not doing the tag team rematch. I've got to beat up LA Knight, and he gets mad. And Jim told Cody to go talk to him, and Cody gave him a very nice but somewhat patronizing speech. But Jey doesn't care about that because he has to make it back to the top. And in that LA Knight match, which was very good, by the way, I mean, they both were still baby faces, and LA Knight could go heel, I suppose. It sucks that LA Knight has to lose all the time, but the only issue was Bronson Breakker and Bron Reed. Why did they come out during this? It's like WWE feels obliged to do distraction, interference, and confusion because they wanted these two to be hurt and beaten down. They're doing it for you. You don't need... It was dumb, right? They should have come out after the match, not before. But this is why I get annoyed with the dick board, as we call it, because they only did this WWE to protect LA Knight. Now, LA Knight actually is somebody that deserves that, but we did it with the Oscar thing in the main event too. It just become a crutch that we lean on. I think we need to move away from it. But LA Knight has to fight them off. The referee doesn't care. But the good part of it was Jey Uso then says, I don't give a damn that they're there, gets the spear, gets the Uso splash, and pins LA Knight for the 1-2-3. Isn't going to help LA Knight when those guys are going to beat them down, but Jimmy Uso gets a chair, and Paul Heyman calls off his war dogs, or his goons, as Cody Rhodes called them, like he's Mr. Byrne. Get yourself some hired goons. But that was... Yes, I like it a lot. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Jey Uso is going to go heel. At the moment, it kind of feels like he's just standing up for his own honor, I suppose. And him absolutely, or accidentally, I should say, smashing himself in the brain has kind of helped with that sympathy. And he did change his gear here a little bit as well. I kind of feel like LA Knight, I think this could be a trick because it's so on the nose. I think it could be LA Knight that goes heel here, but that's not so great either. But then they're both beloved. It's been a really good feud. It's a really good idea to throw out this idea that it must be good guy versus bad guy. You can do two good guys coming together. One of them should switch though, I think, and maybe we are holding it off because the Oscar did it here. But really good match, really, really fun, ties into the story, didn't dominate the night, which is what it has been doing, especially when you get the same ending over and over again. So yeah, it just goes back to what I said at the intro. This Raw was night and day, and even some of the other smaller stuff, totally fine. Like, we had JD McDonagh versus Rusev after Dominic had booked JD in a match with Adam Pearce. So Dom isn't long for this Judgment Day world, and he did ask Finn Balor for help, but Finn was like, no. And then eventually JD McDonagh sort of said, fine, I'll do it, and surprise, surprise. He gets murked by Rusev. There was kind of distraction here because, of course, Dominic Mysterio jumped up on the apron, but he's so scared he won't get involved. And he won't even break up the submission after the match is ended. Out come Finn Balor. He attacks Rusev. I think we are actually doing the IC title match next week, which is interesting. I thought we would do Finn next week against Rusev and then move on to it. I do think Rusev should win, and then we should do the Intercontinental title program between him and Sheamus, with Sheamus finally winning that belt. Can you hold it off to the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania? Well, you could hold it off to WrestleMania. Have to come up with some really good storytelling, but you could. But Rusev came across like a monster. Dom has gone back to being such an idiot, and that's his best character. I love him so much. And Finn Balor is underrated gold, and JD McDonagh played his part. So this is good. This is working for me. You are going to have an end date on it relatively soon because it is a little bit doing the same sort of circle every single week. But I'm intrigued by the Intercontinental title match because I would assume that Finn Balor is going to cost Dominic Mysterio or come out to help him and accidentally not. And that's fine as well. Although it does tie into my overall problem with Raw is that is always the get out of jail free card where Dominic Mysterio didn't really lose. It's why I want Cody or Seth to properly lose at the pay-per-view. That should be a story. You can tell the sports story. Oh my gosh, a big star just suffered a heavy defeat. What do they do next? But this was still fun. This was still good. And I think it's Rusev's best use in ages. Even at the start of the show, he was just pushing Dominic Mysterio into a box-like structure, which is why Dominic went to the Judgment Day for help. So yes, I just enjoyed it. It worked. It doesn't have to be the greatest thing ever. It worked. I don't know what's going on with the New Day. Like, they took on, obviously with Grayson Waller, they took on Penta and the War Raiders. Great match. Penta won with this devastating, almost literally sort of avalanche, Mexican destroyer off the top rope onto Grayson Waller. It's good that Penta is winning, but he's not really heading anywhere. And the tag team titles obviously are on the Judgment Day, but they can't get involved with these guys. We've done that 1,000 times. So this is like an outlier to the show, because you will watch it, you will enjoy it, and Penta is great. But is Penta going to be allowed to break through this glass ceiling? Could he take on a Seth Rollins following Crown Jewel? I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing Penta in the world title scene. And sometimes you say that and people go, yeah, but he's not a headline act. It's like, we have to try. I don't think you can just sort of make that assertion. And I think sometimes that's WWE's problem, is that they do have this sort of bubble of people that can be in that remit, and we don't ever let anybody else in there. I would like to see Seth Rollins versus Penta. You can do a television world title program. Like, WWE doesn't often do that because they have so many pay-per-views. It's something you see more on AEW because they spread their pay-per-views out a little bit, although they've got loads too. But I would love to see Penta given a go. Otherwise, you're just doing this back to back to back and you're having win. And he's very, very talented and people love him, but that can only take on so long before people want a little bit more. They want to see some movement up the card because that's just how professional wrestling works. So, yeah, tough to talk about. New Day made me laugh out loud because they were all wearing giant hats, and Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods are underrated gems, and I don't think they get the love they deserve. I think when they get to the back ends of their career, all of a sudden people will realize how great they have been for professional wrestling. But the good news is that it was good. The dumbest sentence I've ever said in a while. And it added to the overall theming of Raw, which is just way better. Like, compared to last week's show, especially compared to SmackDown, I would go with excellent. Same with Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Was Roxy taking on Bayley here? I'm a bit worried about Lyra Valkyria, who is being booked into Stupid Land, because Bayley has forgotten that she yelled at Lyra last week. So Lyra just decides, all right, I'm going to accept this, even though Bayley also cost her her Intercontinental title. She goes to the ring. Raquel Rodriguez is getting involved. Lyra takes her out. And then Roxanne Perez does a dive, and that sent Bayley loopy, right? Hits all these moves. It was like a big boot and a Bayley to belly and a rose blood, whatever, rose plant. She gets to 3. The commentators are like, oh my gosh, she's gone crazy. It's like, she just hit 3 moves. Why wasn't she that intense throughout the match? And then she pushes Lyra on her ass. Now, Lyra Valkyria cannot be friends with Bayley next week. I need angry Lyra to come back. I do enjoy what we're doing. I find it very entertaining. But Lyra Valkyria is starting to look like a goober, right? She got to stop looking like a goober. This was completely on you, Lyra. You should have known that she was doing this. Don't mind the sports entertainment aspect of Bayley's gimmick at all. I find it very fun. But if she's going to go unhinged, I said this on Ups and Downs on What Culture. Make sure you go subscribe to them as well. And please subscribe to me. Again, you get my beat-to-beat review and breakdown there. But it has to be more than this. It almost has to be maybe cheating, maybe using a weapon, maybe sort of mucking around with the referee. It can't just be you've got 3 really good moves and you use those moves and you won a wrestling match. That's what pro wrestling should be. Roxanne loses too much for me as well. She's slowly falling into a Dolph Ziggler role, and I think she's better than that. Although she's so young, it will be fine. And I think we will do this tag match. And there better be a good reason why Lyra decides to team with Bayley. But this was still good. I can't explain it. Like, I think it's because overall, I enjoy the theming of it. I think Raquel and Roxy are great together, especially Raquel Rodriguez, who's really come into her own. But they're not really issues, just sort of pet peeves that I had. Not even pet peeves. You know what I'm saying here. But it worked on this show. We just need to make sure that Lyra holds Bayley accountable for her actions. Otherwise, you just look absolutely ridiculous. But it was good, and I enjoyed it. And it's fun, right? And you can pick holes in it and go, well, that was stupid, and this was 2 + 2 = potato, and it doesn't make sense, and I would agree with you. But it's just... it works because you can laugh at it and realize they're not trying to act like this is, next level stuff. They're just doing what they can with it. So, couple of thumbs for there. I think that was mostly everything that happened on Raw. I'm probably forgetting a promo or 2. Obviously, we are getting Jade versus Tiffany versus Nia on SmackDown, who will take on Stephanie Vaquer. I still think Jade Cargill should win that. I don't know whether she will. I think it's probably the time to change the championship. I don't mean to make it sound like a comparison, but much like Chris Statlander beat Toni Storm, I just kind of feel like we've got to that time with Tiffany Stratton where somebody can beat her and it's not really going to make a difference, but at least it freshens up the show. But you should watch this Raw if you ever watch my videos for some sort of recommendation like that. Has set up Crown Jewel very, very well, and there's probably other elements we're going to do on SmackDown too. Some people saying that Roman Reigns is going to be there. I think he's on the poster. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's the first time I've walked away from a Monday Night show feeling pumped, and that wasn't the way for the last 3 weeks. I would kind of hazard a guess maybe WWE got waylaid by the WrestlePalooza stuff, which was so last minute, and I don't want to say it ruined that Saturday. I understand capitalism. Who said it the other day? I can't remember now, but they described it. So I think it was MVP. I don't want to say that in case I'm wrong, but it's like, Burger King or McDonald's setting up a competitive restaurant across the street. I understand it, but as someone that covers wrestling, I didn't find it very fun. I found it, it was just too much in one day. And it would have been so much better to enjoy both shows. And I think some of the matches would have been better received if it had been on the Sunday, but it is what it is. We don't need to worry about it. But yes, good Raw. Gets me excited for SmackDown as well. If we can get this back on track, we wait and see. And again, we still need to know what's next for CM Punk and AJ Lee, although we can kind of figure it out. However, more importantly, what did you think about Raw? Drop me a comment below. Please do interact with the video. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. All of my thoughts about WrestlePalooza are on the screen right now. Or you can go to GorillaMind.com/Simon. Just go to Simon, get 10% off. Fitness channel is here. Needs more content. We'll get to that. Watch-alongs on Patreon.com/Simon316. Only $5. Simon316 on social media. Simon on TikTok and Pro Wrestling Tees and Cameo for videos like that. Done a load of cameos recently. It's been super duper fun. So I appreciate those. Any interaction would be good, but more importantly, my friends, have a happy, healthy day. I'm completely under the weather. I may even go back to bed. It's not true. I will persevere. I appreciate you. Appreciate your friends and your family. Don't know what that means, but I will see you soon.